Rex Heuermann. I'm an architect. I'm an architectural consultant. I'm a troubleshooter. Born and raised on Long Island. Okay. Been working in Manhattan since 1987. And it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
The work is not done here, but this is a major, major step forward.
My reaction is, this is nuts. It's really, really crazy. You never know, you never know who your neighbors are, right?
Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gilgo, and in today's video, what we're going to do is read through this 32-page document related to Rex A. Heuermann, the 59-year-old architect from New York who was married with 2 kids and has just been arrested and named the suspect in the Gilgo Beach murders, otherwise known as the Long Island serial killer. So this was massive news. We did a live stream on it as well, where we watched the whole press conference. So if you want to see that, as well as all the news clips and an interview with the neighbor and interviews with him and just everything in one, it's within 90 minutes. You'll catch up on everything. Everything's time-stamped for you. You can just click on the link in the description box, which will take you to that live stream replay, and you can navigate to what you want to watch. This one is going to be a document read-through. Also, if you want to know the backstory of this case, I will also be linking my full playlist of this case, and you can check out the episodes that we've done there. It'll be a little bit of a blast from the past, whereas I think I came across a little bit more shy and just took things a little bit slower, and I think that was over a year ago. But if you want to check out those episodes, they are on the playlist as well. So let's dive into this document. We're on page 1 of 32. Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. They say the people of the state of New York against Rex A. Heuermann. Bail application, of course. This guy got no bail. If there's anyone that shouldn't get any bail, yeah, it's this guy. So they say defendant Rex A. Heuermann stands before this court charged by the grand jury with, now I'm just going to quickly summarize where I can, murder in the first degree and second degree for 3 of the 4 Gilgo Beach victims. And they are still investigating. They will very likely still uncover more victims in this case. And some people still speculate there could be a second killer, but we'll see how that all goes. For now, let's focus on this. So they've got murder in the first and second degree for Melissa Bartholomew, which was on or about July 10th, 2009, Megan Waterman on or about June 6th, 2010, and also for Amber Costello on or about September 2nd of 2010. So first and second degree murder charges that he's facing there. As described below, based on the serious, heinous nature of these serial murders, the planning and forethought that went into these crimes, the strength of the people's case, the length of incarceration the defendant faces upon conviction, the extended period of time that this defendant was able to avoid apprehension, long time, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if he would have just stopped in 2010. People like this have an addiction to what they do here. If you've ever seen criminal profiler John Kelly on my show, he often talks about these serial killers and how to them it's like a compulsion. It's an addiction that they can't stop. So I wouldn't doubt that between 2010 and 2023, there's more victims that they will very likely link to him. But okay, to continue on, they say the length of incarceration, right, and the extended period of time that this defendant was able to avoid apprehension, his recent searches for sadistic materials, CP, which is actually CSAM, child sexual abuse material would be the better word, images of the victims and their relatives, counter surveillance conducted online as to the criminal investigation, his use of fictitious names, burner email and cell phone accounts, and his access to and history of possessing firearms. I think they found 92 firearms in his house. The only means to ensure that defendant Rex A. Heuermann's return to court is to remand him without bail. Discovery of the victims. On December 11th, 2010, police officer John Melia was conducting a training exercise with his K9 partner, Blue, along Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach, Suffolk County, New York. During the course of the training exercise, Blue located a set of human remains. The remains were later identified to be those of Melissa Barthélemy. 2 days later, on December 13, 2010, the SCPD continued to search in proximity to where the remains of Melissa Barthélemy were recovered. On that date, members of the SCPD found 3 additional sets of human remains. That must have been a shock. Within 1/4 mile of the first discovery, these 3 additional sets of remains were identified as those of Maureen Brainard Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The cause of death for all 4 women was determined to be homicidal violence. Now here they've got a little snippet of the map time, but in the description box I'm going to link a really great resource for an excellent map time presentation. So as you scroll through there, it literally populates the map with where all the victims were found. But here's a little screenshot if you do want to take a look at that. So they say the investigations into these deaths were linked. In addition to other factors, the victims each appeared to have been placed in close proximity to one another, 22 to 33 feet from the edge of the parkway. All were petite females, approximately 22 to 27 years old, believed to be working as sex workers. All had missing clothing and personal possessions. All had been killed by homicide. All had contact shortly before their disappearance with a person using a burner phone, i.e. cell phones without an associated verified identity. And the cell phones of 2 of the 4 victims, Brainard Barnes and Barthélemy, were used by the killer after their deaths. In addition, each of the 4 victims were found similarly positioned, bound in a similar fashion by either belts or tape, with 3 of the victims found wrapped in a burlap type material. Now, just to read the footnote here, although the defendant is not yet charged with any crimes as to the disappearance and murder of Miss Brainard Barnes as set forth below, defendant Rex A. Heuermann is the prime suspect in her death and the investigation, which is continuing and is expected to be resolved soon. Moreover, there is substantial evidence of defendant Heuermann's involvement in the disappearance and death of Miss Brainard Barnes, which evidence closely fits the modus operandi of the defendant in relation to the deaths of the other 3 women, and which supports the current charges. As such, this bail application contains descriptions of that evidence which demonstrates the strength of the people's case as is currently charged. Okay, so now before I go into the recent investigation, I want to say I'm aware that for some people I talk a little bit fast, okay, but we want to get through this document. So all you got to do is toggle that little gear button and just put me at 0.75 speed if you like. It might help, okay? For those of you who want me to just slow down a little bit. Some of you actually put me at 1.5 speed. I do that too, don't worry. If I listen to videos, it's normally at 1.5 speed at least. So, recent investigation. In January 2022, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office assigned an experienced team of investigators, analysts, and prosecutors to work jointly with law enforcement partners from the Suffolk County Police Department, New York State Police, Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI. I mean, from 2022, fresh eyes and resilience, as the commander said, and wow, they did a really good job catching this guy. Just over, about a year and a half later. They say a comprehensive review of every item of evidence and information in this investigation was undertaken by the team. On March 14th, 2022, approximately 2 months into the renewed joint investigation, this comprehensive review led to the discovery of a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche that was registered to defendant Rex A. Heuermann at the time of these murders. As described below, This was significant because a witness to the disappearance of Amber Costello identified a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche as the vehicle believed to have been driven by her killer. This discovery led to a comprehensive investigation of defendant Heuermann, which consisted of over 300 subpoenas, search warrants, and other legal processes to obtain evidence. As discussed more fully below, among the items uncovered were cell phone billing records for defendant Heuermann corresponding to cell site locations for 1. The burner phones used to arrange meetings with 3 of the 4 victims. 2. The taunting calls made to the relative of Miss Barthélemy. 3. A call made by a detective to Miss Barthélemy's cell phone while looking into a disappearance. And 4. Calls checking voicemail on Miss Brainard Barnes' cell phone after her disappearance. In addition, Heuermann lived in Massapequa Park, where the victims were believed to have disappeared from, and he worked in Midtown Manhattan, in the vicinity where the taunting calls were made to the sister of Miss Barthélemy. As set forth more fully below, defendant Rex A. Heuermann is believed to be the person who used the burner cell phones to communicate with each of the 4 victims prior to their disappearance, and who used Miss Brainard Barnes' cell phone and Miss Barthélemy's cell phone after their deaths. Both defendant Heuermann and these burner cell phones had significant connections to both Midtown Manhattan and Massapequa Park, New York. Okay, so now let's look into the disappearance of each of these victims. The disappearance and murder of Maureen Brainard Barnes. Maureen Brainard Barnes was last seen on July 9th of 2007 in New York City. At that time, she was believed to be working as a sex worker. On July 6th, 2007, Miss Brainard Barnes' cell phone was contacted by a burner cell phone. Between July 6th and July 9th, 2007, there were 16 interactions between this burner phone and Brainard Barnes' cell phone. On July 9th, 2007, the last cell site location for the Brainard Barnes cell phone was at approximately 11:56 p.m. in Midtown Manhattan near the 59th Street Bridge. Thereafter, the Brainard Barnes cell phone had no further activity until July 12, 2007. On July 12, 2007, 3 days after her disappearance, 2 outbound calls were made from Brainard Barnes' cell phone, checking her voicemail from a cell site location near the Long Island Expressway in, is that Islandia? Islandia. I would say Islandia, but I don't know if I'm right. Sorry to the locals if I botched that one. The disappearance and murder of Melissa Barthelemy. Melissa Barthelemy was last seen on July 10, 2009 in New York City. At that time, she was believed to be working as a sex worker. On July 3, 2009, Miss Barthelemy was contacted by a burner cell phone. Thereafter, the Barthelemy cell phone was contacted by this burner cell phone on July 6th, July 9th, and July 10th of 2009, which was the last day that she was seen alive. On July 10th, 2009, cell site records indicate the burner cell phone traveled from Massapequa Park to Midtown Manhattan. Later that evening, the Barthelemy cell phone traveled from Midtown Manhattan to Massapequa, with the last cell site location being in Massapequa on July 11th, 2009 at approximately 1:43 a.m. On July 11th, 2009, Ms. Barthélemy's cell phone was used to make an outbound call, checking her voicemail from a cell site location in Freeport. On July 11th and 12th, 2009, the Barthelemy phone made 2 more outbound calls, checking her voicemail from cell site locations in Babylon. On July 17th, July 23rd, August 5th, and August 19th, and August 26th, 2009, the Barthelemy phone made taunting phone calls to Miss Barthelemy's family members, some of which resulted in a conversation between the caller, who was male, and a relative of Miss Barthelemy, in which the male caller admitted killing and sexually assaulting Miss Barthelemy. As described below, the cell site locations of the Barthelemy phone during these taunting calls were all in Midtown Manhattan. This guy is really sick. I mean, obviously, being a serial killer, but the taunting is next level. The disappearance and murder of Megan Waterman. Megan Waterman was last seen at the Holiday Inn in... Please forgive me for saying any words wrong. I'm not local, okay? I'm South African living in the Netherlands, and I'm really trying my best for these words. Hauppauge, New York. on June 6, 2010 at approximately 1:30 a.m. At that time, she was believed to be working as a sex worker. On June 5th, 2010, Miss Waterman's cell phone was contacted by another burner cell phone, which had just been activated that day. Thereafter, the Waterman phone communicated with this burner cell phone on June 6, 2010, at approximately 1:31 a.m., which is around the time Megan Waterman was captured on video surveillance exiting the Holiday Inn in Halpage for the last time. Following that communication, the burner cell phone had no further phone activity. We did look at that, I believe, in those episodes. That will be a blast from the past, which is on the playlist if you do want to see that. So they say, following that communication, the burner cell phone had no further phone activity. However, cell site records show that the Waterman phone traveled to Massapequa Park, with the last cell site location being in Massapequa Park at approximately 3:11 a.m. in the vicinity of the residence of defendant Heuermann. The disappearance and murder of Amber Costello. Amber Costello was last seen alive on September 2nd, 2010, leaving her residence at 1112 America Avenue in West Babylon during the late evening hours. At that time, she was believed to be working as a sex worker. On September 1st, 2010, the day prior to the disappearance of Amber Costello, Miss Costello's cell phone was contacted by a burner phone. On September 1st, 2010, this burner cell phone had communications with the Costello phone at approximately 11:33 p.m. and 11:34 p.m. During those communications, the burner cell phone connected to cell site towers in West Amityville and Massapequa Park. Thereafter, the burner cell phone traveled to West Babylon in proximity to the residence of Amber Costello and had contact with the Costello phone at approximately 12:05 a.m. on September 2nd, 2010. Isn't it incredible that after all these years they can extract all this information and just catch this guy? I mean, he was Googling why they're not caught the Long Island serial killer and things like that. But bro, they eventually caught you, it seems. Okay, according to witness, around the time of these communications between the burner cell phone and the Costello phone on September 12, 2010, a prostitution client showed up at Miss Costello's residence located in West Babylon, New York. After the client entered the home, a ruse was executed on the client whereby a person pretended to be the outraged boyfriend of Amber Costello, and the client left from the residence. While Amber Costello retained the money the client had bought to pay for her services. Based upon interviews, the client was described as a large white male, approximately 6'4" to 6'6" in height, in his mid-40s, with dark bushy hair and big oval style 1970s type eyeglasses. Oh my word. Like, is it just me, or do all these serial killers like those types of big oval styled 90s, 70s type eyeglasses? A witness described him to police as appearing like an ogre. Okay, that was some good shade thrown there. He appeared like an ogre. Okay, furthermore, a witness noticed a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche parked in the driveway of the residence. According to the witness, following the ruse, this client said he was just her friend. Tell her I'll give her a call, and walked out the front door. Thereafter, at approximately 1:18 a.m. on September 2nd, after the ruse had been perpetrated, the burner cell phone sent a text message to the Costello phone which stated, "That was not nice. So, do I credit for next time?" I'm guessing, do I get credit for next time? Phone records show that the burner phone was located in Massapequa Park within 2 minutes of this text message being sent. According to a witness, later that day on September 2nd, 2010, Ms. Costello was again contacted by the same client that was in the house the night before with the avalanche. Further, Amber told us that he wanted to see her again, but he didn't want to come back to the house because of her boyfriend. Okay, so the ogre is like, I don't want to come back there because of the boyfriend. He wants full attention. Oh my word. Thereafter, on September 2nd, 2010, at approximately 9:32 p.m., the same burner cell phone from the previous evening again communicated with the Costello phone. During this communication, the burner cell phone used a cell site location in Midtown Manhattan. Following this communication and based upon the cell site records, the burner cell phone traveled to Massapequa Park and had contacts with the Costello phone at approximately 10:39 p.m. and 11:05 p.m. cell site records for the burner phone indicate that at approximately 11:17 p.m., the phone traveled to West Babylon in proximity to the residence of Amber Costello. Subsequently, Amber Costello left her own cell phone behind, walked out the front door of the residence, and was seen alive for the last time. Shortly after Miss Costello left the house, a witness observed a dark-colored truck pass the house, specifically coming from the direction Amber had walked towards. So he was probably stalking her. I mean, we see it a lot with these types. Records established that defendant Heuermann's wife was out of New York for the disappearances of Barthélemy, Waterman, and Costello. So when wifey wasn't home, guess who got up to mischief, and of the worst kind. Significantly, travel records show that on July 8th, 2009, defendant Heuermann's wife departed the United States for Iceland. On August 18th, 2009, defendant Heuermann's wife returned to the United States. Consequently, defendant Heuermann's wife was out of the country during the time of Miss Barthélemy's disappearance. I want to go to Iceland one day, I really do. Okay, moving on. Based upon cellular telephone billing records, on June 4th, 2010, the cell telephone subscribed to by defendant Heuermann's wife traveled from New York to Maryland. On June 8th, 2010, the cellular telephone subscribed to by the defendant's wife returned to New York from Maryland. Consequently, based upon cellular telephone records, the phone subscribed to by defendant Heuermann's wife was out of New York State during the time of Megan Waterman's disappearance. Based upon cellular telephone billing records on August 28, 2010, the cellular telephone subscribed to by defendant Heuermann's wife traveled from New York to New Jersey. On September 5th, 2010, the cellular telephone subscribed to by his wife returned to New York from New Jersey. Consequently, the cellular telephone so long. I have to say it because on there, the cellular, so it's not like cell phone. The cellular telephone subscribed to by defendant Heuermann's wife was out of New York State during the time of Amber Costello's disappearance. Cellular billing records for the cell phone of Rex A. Heuermann. During the times of the disappearances and murders of the victims, defendant Heuermann owned an architectural business located in Midtown Manhattan, and this business was the named subscriber of Heuermann's cell phone, which was active during the times of the victims' disappearances and subscribed to Heuermann's home address in Massapequa Park. This dude literally owned an architectural business, but was apparently living in a dilapidated house. Interesting psychology there. If you didn't know, I've written 4 books on serial killers. The reason I stopped writing the books is because then I started a YouTube channel and I've been here full time because I'm an immersive kind of person. So there's that. I do like to study them and be like, wait, what? Because while they behave like addicts, they just do the same thing over and over. There's always a lot of patterns and things like that. It's always interesting to me, especially the background psychology. Like, how did they get there? And what is it that they're trying to relive or work through or whatever, you know? There's always something underlying there, which I find interesting. If you like true crime psychology, although I am not a psychologist, then maybe you would maybe enjoy my books, and maybe you would like deep diving this case with me. If you want to deep dive this case with me, subscribe, hit the bell so that you don't miss out on when I do more uploads on this. So, to continue on. A review of these records, as well as Heuermann's American Express records, showed numerous instances where Heuermann was located in the same general locations as the burner cell phones used to contact victims Barthélemy, Waterman, and Costello, as well as the use of Brainard Barnes's and Barthélemy's cell phones when they were used to check voicemail and make taunting phone calls after the woman disappeared. Shame, he wanted to be so relevant. Significantly, investigators could find no instance where Heuermann was in a separate location from these other cell phones when such a communication event occurred. Footnote time. Neither cellular telephone billing records nor travel or financial records could be obtained for defendant Heuermann's wife for 2007, as such records were no longer available due to retention policies. Therefore, it is undetermined at this time defendant Heuermann's wife was traveling out of state during the time of Maureen Brainard Barnes' disappearance and murder. But I guess based out of the pattern, one would assume she probably was. Because these types of guys, these serial killers, they've got patterns. Okay, so continuing on. For example, on July 10th, 2009, the last day Melissa Barthélemy was seen alive, both the burner phone and defendant Heuermann's phone were in the area of Massapequa and traveled together toward New York City. Thereafter, both Miss Barthélemy's phone and Heuermann's phone traveled eastbound toward Massapequa. On July 14, 2009, at approximately 7:15 p.m., cell site records indicate the burner phone used to contact Miss Barthélemy prior to her disappearance had activity in Manhattan. On the same date, between approximately 6:58 p.m. and 7:22 p.m., billing records from Heuermann's cell phone also showed call locations in New York City. Following Miss Barthélemy's disappearance on July 17, 2009, at approximately 12:40 p.m., a mail caller used the Barthélemy phone to contact Miss Barthélemy's family. The Barthélemy phone was located in New York City at this time, specifically attached to a cellular tower located at 4 Penn Plaza, which is approximately 2,300, I like how they're like approximately, and then the exact figures given, approximately 2,372 feet or 0.45 miles from Heuermann's then office space, which at the time was located at 19 West 36th Street, New York. On this same date, at approximately 1:45 p.m., billing records from Heuermann's phone also show a call location in New York City. And again, it's footnote time. Unfortunately, cell site records for the burner cell phone used to contact Miss Brainard Barnes were not obtained at the time of her disappearance and no longer exist. Damn. Okay, I'm glad they could extract so much, even though some was so long ago, like the records no longer exist. Okay, so here they got a little map. Victim phone, 7/17/2009 at 12:40 and 53 p.m. Outgoing call, duration 1.1 minutes. And Rex Heuermann's office. So you can see, whoa, that's like really close. Look at that. Okay, little map time in the document. We're on page 11, as you see. Now we're going to page 12. On July 22nd, 2009, out of 32, by the way, 12 out of 32, okay. On July 22nd, 2009, at 6:51 p.m., cell site records indicate the burner cell phone had activity in New York City, specifically attached to a cellular tower located at 19 West 34th Street, which is approximately 872 feet or 0.16 miles from defendant Heuermann's then office space, which at the time was located at 19 West 36th Street, New York. On the same date at approximately 5:12 p.m., billing records from Heuermann's cell phone listed a call located in New York City. Okay, I see the work of probably the FBI CAST team. What do you think? We've seen this from a few trials that we've been following, and it looks to be like those arches we've seen quite a bit. Okay, so there's another little map time. You can pause if you want to analyze it, but I'm going to be moving on now to page 13. On July 23rd, 2009, at approximately 1:39 p.m., cell site records indicate that the burner cell phone had activity in New York City, specifically attached to a cellular tower located at 19 West 34th Street, which is approximately 872 feet or 0.16 miles from Heuermann's then office space. See illustration below. On that same date, at approximately 12:48 p.m., billing records from Heuermann's cell phone listed a call located in New York. I do love New York. I really love New York. I've been there probably 12 or 14 times, and I've always just loved it. On July 23rd, 2009, at approximately 6:42 p.m., a mail caller used the Barthélemy phone to contact her family. This guy. The Barthélemy phone was located in New York City at this time, specifically attached to a cellular tower located at 275 West 39th Street, which is approximately 872 feet or 0.16 miles from Heuermann's then office space. On July 23rd, 2009, between approximately 8:29 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., the burner cell phone had activity in New York City. Later on the same date, at approximately 11:05 p.m., billing records from Heuermann's cell phone listed a call located in Jamaica, Queens. Can you believe? I mean, New York is pretty famous for it. Like, you think New York, Big Apple, you think of pizza. You know, like New York pizza, right? This guy was busted by a pizza box. Yes, the crust, the pizza box, DNA, all that matching to a hair. We'll get to that later. But I'm just still like, whoa, this was... Like, he's such a New Yorker, right? And he was living really in plain sight. Wow, as they usually do, but like really functional in plain sight. On August 5th, 2009, between approximately 6:50 p.m. and 7:11 p.m., a male caller used the Barthélemy phone to contact Miss Barthélemy's family. During said time period, the Barthélemy phone utilized the following cellular phone towers in New York City, which are 2,230 to 3,280 feet from Heuermann's then office space. On this same date, during a similar time frame, between approximately 6:46 p.m. and 7:05 p.m., Heuermann's cell phone listed billing locations in New York City. Another mini-map time there. I'm sure at the trial they're going to show us so much more. But actually, in this case, they've given us a lot of information already, which is pretty awesome. On August 10th, 2009, based upon subpoena travel documents, Heuermann departed for Iceland, and all phone activity for the Barthélemy phone stopped. On August 18th, 2009, Heuermann returned from Iceland, and phone activity for the Barthélemy phone resumed the next day. Oh my word. And he thought he wouldn't get busted. On August 19th, 2009, at approximately 7:23 p.m., a male caller used the Barthélemy phone to contact Miss Barthélemy's family. Cell site records indicate that the Barthélemy phone was located in New York City at this time, specifically attached to a cell tower located at 249 West 36th Street, which is approximately 2,831 feet or 0.53 miles from Heuermann's then office space. See illustration below. On the same date before and after the call to Barthélemy's family, at approximately 7:16 p.m. and 7:29 p.m., billing records from Heuermann's cell phone list calls located in New York City. Yep, that's pretty close. Like half a mile. On August 26th, 2009, between approximately 11:29 a.m. and 11:34 a.m., a male caller used the Barthélemy phone to contact Miss Barthélemy's family. According to cell site records, the Barthélemy phone was located in New York City at this time, specifically attached to the cellular tower located at 4 Penn Plaza, which is approximately 2,230 feet or 0.42 miles from Heuermann's then office space. On this same date, at approximately 11:38 a.m., billing records for Heuermann's cell phone list a call location in New York City. They say victim phone and where he's at. I think his office was now on 5th Avenue. From that interview we saw together, it looked like, actually it was from when he got arrested. It looked like it was 5th Avenue, New York. Damn. See, now we are going to page 17, so we're just going over the halfway point now. Okay, second half, here we go. Additional burner phones and online account activity linked to defendant Heuermann. Now, trigger warning, because the little bit we already read about his Google searches is horrifying. As described herein, over the course of the comprehensive investigation of defendant Heuermann, investigators located a number of online accounts and burner cell phones linked to defendant Heuermann, but which were held by him in fictitious names and used for illicit activities. American Express records obtained via subpoena revealed recurring Google Pay payments made by defendant Heuermann to Tinder, an online dating and geosocial networking application used to find dates or hookups within a user's immediate vicinity. Records were then obtained from Tinder, which revealed that the Tinder profile was set up in the name Andy. Heuermann's middle name is Andrew. With links to a burner cell phone, they got the number there, subscribed in the fictitious name of Andrew Roberts. Do I need to say it? Please be careful on online dating sites. If you've watched a lot of true crime, you know that a lot of stories start with online dating. Not all. But when it's like a stranger type of event, a true crime case, yeah, that's usually online dating, right? So just be very careful with those. Anyway, Andrew Roberts using an email account springfieldman9@aol.com. Anyway, okay, we'll try not to laugh too much at him. We do like to snark it up about killers and serial killers. Oh, yes. So anyway, the springfieldman9@aol.com account was established with AOL on January 15th, 2011 in the fictitious name John Springfield. So he wants to be Andrew Roberts, John Springfield, with an Astoria, Queens, New York zip code using another burner cell phone. which records show has no named subscriber. Records obtained from Verizon showed that defendant Heuermann's cell phone was used on December 11th, 2022, for a period of over 3 hours to access the fictitious Springfield Man 9 AOL account. Similarly, the records obtained from T-Mobile show that burner cell phone number was used on multiple dates, including November 8th, 2022, to access this account. A review of call records for these 2 additional burner phones revealed that both cell phones were used extensively between 2021 and 2023 for prostitution-related contacts, either with sex workers or massage parlors. In addition, cell site warrants for these burner phones revealed that just like the burner phones defendant Heuermann used to contact the victims prior to their disappearances, these additional burner phones had frequent cell site activity in Midtown Manhattan and Massapequa Park. I would just love to be one of these investigators. And as you're building this all together, before you even know who it is, and you start piecing this all, and you're like, whoa, look at this, and look at this, and this is all here, and can you believe it? Like that. And then the pickup truck and the everything. It must be unbelievable to work these cases. Specifically, the records revealed that both these burner cell phones consistently had activity on the cellular towers that provided coverage to defendant Heuermann's residence in Massapequa Park and his business in New York City. Legal process served on Google, here this is where we're going to need the trigger warning, seeking records or accounts associated with the device identifiers of these additional burner phones revealed a connection to yet another burner or junk email account, namely Thork, or what is it, like the Hawk, or what, Thork, 080672@gmail.com, because that's not a dodgy email, okay. Hereinafter, Thork email account. Google records further indicated that the Thork email account was subscribed in the fictitious name, Thomas Hawk. A search warrant revealed that the Thork email account associated with burner cell phone number was used to conduct thousands of searches related to sex workers, sadistic torture-related porn, and CSAM, including, here we go, you guys want it, I know we always want to know what's the Google searches, well here we go, you asked for it. 1. Okay, let me not number them all. I'm just going to read them. Mistress, Long Island. Mature escorts, Manhattan. Girl begging for SA, porn. Pretty girl with bruised face, porn. I'm just going to say the words. YouTube is going to hate this video, so please like and share if you want anyone else to see this video. If you've stumbled upon it, believe me, this is not going to be in the algorithm based on the words. No one's going to find it. YouTube's going to be like, let's suppress this because she's saying a lot of naughty words. Anyway, so now that we've said SA for RAP and PORN, okay, so I'm just going to say P if I can. I'll try to censor it a little bit. Okay. So pretty girl with bruised face, P. Torture redhead, P. 10-year-old schoolgirl. This guy. Okay. Hentai plump, PUSSY, lips cut off. Very interesting, bro. PORN. Okay, skinny redhead tied up, P. Short fat girl tied up. Oh, he likes everything. Just like, make sure you got red hair, short, fat, tied up. Oh, like, oh my word. Okay, no, this is now we're going into the mind of the killer. And when I wrote those books, somebody told me, be careful of going into the abyss. Because while you're looking into the abyss, it's looking back at you. And I'm like, oh my word. Don't let it get under your skin, okay? So, tied up and RP. Asian twink tied up P. Tied slave force-fed chicken. No, not chicken. You better be reading with me, otherwise it won't make sense to you. This is not a podcast. This is a YouTube channel, okay? You gotta look. Otherwise you'll be like, what? Oh, man. CUM, shot and crying, PORN. Girl hog-tied, torture, P. 10-year-old blonde hair, girl. Chubby, 10-year-old girl. Black girl, 10 years old. Girl with face, beat up. Chubby 10-year-old girl crying. Like, what is it with this guy? Oh my word. Do we even want to know how his mind works? 13-year-old schoolgirl. Age 12, child girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Blonde hair girl, young and depressed. Like, seriously, bro? You want to not only bang children, but depressed people. Moving on. Teen girl, oiled bodies. Preteen girl with makeup. Nude slave girls. Old janitors, gangbang, little schoolgirl. Oh, old janitors. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, okay. Crying girl, painful. You can read it. Schoolgirl and crying teen, P. The Thork email account was also used to conduct in excess of 200 searches between March 2022 and June 2023 related to active and known serial killers. Oh, okay. The specific disappearances and murders of Maureen Brainard Barnes, Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello, and the investigation into their murders. These searches or articles accessed include, but are not limited to: why could law enforcement not trace the calls made by the Long Island serial killer? Why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught? Long Island serial killer. Long Island serial killer phone call. Long Island serial killer update. Long Island serial killer update 2022. He knows what to search for in the algorithm, okay? FBI active serial killers. Serial killers by state 2023. Map of all known serial killers. He wants to know who his competition is, okay? Because he's trying to be relevant over here. Unsolved serial killer cases. America's 5 most notorious old cases. 11 currently active serial killers. 8 terrifying active serial killers. John Bitroff, Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthélemy, Maureen Brainard Barnes. Redacted name of Melissa Barthélemy. Redacted name of relative of Megan Waterman. Cops launch Gilgo Beach Homicide Investigation Task Force. Mapping the Long Island murder victim. Oh, you want to do some map time, do you? Inside the Long Island serial killer and Gilgo Beach. The Gilgo Beach killer, Criminal Minds. Right, so Jim Clemente, the profiler, did an extraordinary job profiling this killer. It pretty much matches what they've said about him. And he was there searching the Gilgo Beach killer, Criminal Minds. In Long Island serial killer investigation, new phone technology may be key to break the case. The Thork email account was also used to search for a number of podcasts and or documentaries regarding this investigation, as well as repeatedly viewing hundreds of images depicting the murdered victims and members of their immediate families. Significantly, defendant Heuermann also searched for and viewed articles concerning the very task force that was investigating him. March 28, 2022, 9:19 a.m. to 9:25 a.m. searched Long Island serial killer. And they're showing the links. Okay, in the Long Island Press. We're on page 20. Now, I should actually say trigger warning for this freaking selfie. Here we go, people. Mr. Sexy, not. Mr. wants to be relevant. Okay, in New York, being like selfie time. Okay, he does look very normal though. Obviously they would. And they're not literally like heaving and hunchback and running through the streets with the knife. You know, they really do normally, usually, blend into society from what we've seen. So it's not surprising, but at the same time, damn, he looks normal. A search warrant conducted, except for being very, very tall. A search warrant conducted on the fictitious Springfield Man 9 AOL account further revealed selfie photographs that appear to have been taken by defendant Rex Heuermann of himself and sent to other persons to solicit and arrange for sexual activity, further linking Heuermann to the fictitious email account and burner cell phone used to establish the account. I do want to say, I feel terrible for his wife and children. This must be such a shock to them. I mean, never mind his family, you know, friends, the neighborhood, but can you imagine his wife and kids are like, what? You were doing what now when we traveled? Home to visit family, probably? Iceland? Or just holidays? You did what? Oh, my word. Okay, so there he is. I'm just saying because I'm getting snarky about this guy and I do feel for the family. But at the same time, yeah, I can't help being snarky about this guy. I'm always like that about killers, abusers. Yeah, they should not be on pedestals at all. Like the Ripper, the this and that. They always get these like cool names. And I'm very aware that the 4 books I've written are like Ted Bundy, the campus killer, Eileen Wuornos, the damsel in distress. I get it, but those were their names. Those were the names given to them. Right? John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown. Not that clowning had anything to do with anything, really, if you really deep dive his case. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on. The point is, I know that is that, and that is for branding and marketing, and it makes sense so that people can find it. But I don't think that killers should have cool names. We should give them really, really uncool names, like Krusty Boy over here. You know, because of his pizza crust that he got caught by. I don't know what else to call him right now, but no. Sir, no. I mean, the selfie. Dude. No. Okay, moving on. Page 22. Defendant Rex A. Heuermann was further linked to the burner phone number because on May 19th, 2023, that's recent, all of this, Defendant Heuermann was observed by law enforcement via video and field surveillance at a cell phone store in Midtown Manhattan and purchased additional minutes which were added to this burner phone. Red flag. This is why they had to swoop in and arrest this guy before any more people are killed. And I'm very worried about how many more victims they're going to find. So there he is, buying his burner phone. I'm glad they redacted this person's face, thank goodness. Oh, and he's using cash, you know. Really keeping a top secret there. Analysis of the Springfield Man 9 AOL account also led to the discovery of another email. Of course it did. Another email account. Hunter1903A3@gmail.com. Hereinafter, the Hunter1903A3 Google account. Used on February 4th, Valentine's Day 2021. To send an image of a sex worker from upstate New York between two of Heuermann's secret email accounts. So he's sending it to himself. Further investigation revealed that the Hunter 1903A3 Google account was created on Valentine's Day 2021 using burner cell phone 347-885-1697 as the user's phone number and SMS recovery number, and subscribed in the fictitious name Andy Roberts, the same fake name linked to the target Tinder profile and burner phone, as well as the same alias utilized by defendant Heuermann in communications with numerous potential sex partners, responding to his advertisement or advertisement, depending on how you say it. I would say advertisement, or his ad for sex, and the fictitious birthday of use the same fictitious birthday for the accounts, of August 6th, 1972, which corresponds to the digital ending of the burner account Thawk or T-Hawk 08062@gmail.com. In addition, Google provided IP address information for the user's acceptance of the terms of service, which revealed that the terms of service were accepted on February 14, 2021 from IP address that one. Significantly, records were obtained from Altus, doing business as Optimum, which is an internet services provider, indicating that the IP address at defendant Heuermann's home address was also that IP address. Moreover, based upon SCPD records for the official website gilgonews.com, if you go gilgonews.com and timeline, they've got a brilliant timeline there of this case. A website maintained by the SCPD to disperse news pertaining to this investigation. Defendant Heuermann's home IP address was used on May 23, 2020 and July 3, 2020 to access the official news concerning this investigation. Of course he did. Records obtained from JetBlue also show that the same IP address was also utilized to book flights for defendant Heuermann and his wife in 2018. When analyzing the usage of all devices and accounts used by defendant Heuermann, there appears to be a clear pattern wherein Heuermann used burner phones and burner or junk email addresses to 1. Contact sex workers and sex partners, to conduct extensive searches related to sex and prostitution, violence, sadistic, and CSAM, and 3. Seek online information about the authorities investigating his crimes. These burner phones and email accounts with fictitious identities were used in an effort to conceal Heuermann's true identity, conceal his criminal activity, unlawfully proposition sex workers, and attempt to monitor the investigation of his crimes. DNA, this is where it gets good. DNA analysis of hairs recovered from the examination of the victims' bodies. And this is how I got caught with a pizza. We're going to get to it. During the course of this investigation, each of the 4 victims' bodies were examined by a forensic scientist with the Suffolk County Crime Lab, which revealed as follows. Maureen Brainard Barnes. Ms. Brainard Barnes had been left restrained by 3 leather belts, one of which was utilized to tie Barnes's feet or ankles or legs together. During the examination of the belts, a female human hair was recovered from the buckle of one of the belts by the Suffolk County Crime Lab, hereinafter female hair on Barnes. On or about December 18, 2010, the Suffolk County Lab, this hair, the sentence makes no sense. On or about December 18, 2010, the Suffolk County Laboratory this hair and was able to determine that it corresponded to a Caucasian head hair fragment. Although this hair was not suitable for nuclear DNA profiling at the time, it was subsequently submitted for further DNA analysis. See below. Megan Waterman. Megan Waterman had been bound by clear or white duct tape. During the course of the examination of Miss Waterman's body, 2 female human hairs were recovered, one from outside the head area, the other from the duct tape of the head area. Both hairs were recovered in the vicinity of Miss Waterman's head, hereinafter 2 female hairs on Waterman. Examination by the Suffolk County Lab indicated that the 2 female hairs on Waterman exhibited Caucasian European characteristics but were unsuitable for further DNA testing at the time. The 2 female hairs on Waterman were subsequently submitted for further DNA analysis. See below. Amber Costello. An examination of the body of Miss Amber Costello revealed that she appeared to have been bound by 3 pieces of clear or white duct tape. During the course of the examination of Miss Costello's body, a female human hair was recovered, specifically on a piece of tape inside of the burlap wrapping in the vicinity of Miss Costello's head, hereinafter female hair on Costello. A subsequent examination of the female hair on Costello led to the determination that it had Caucasian or European characteristics. However, it was unsuitable for further DNA testing at the time by the Suffolk County Crime Lab. The female hair on Costello was subsequently submitted for further DNA analysis. See below. Forensic Laboratory Number 1. As noted above, the female hair on Barnes, 2 female hairs on Waterman, and female hair on Costello, collectively the female hairs recovered on 3 victims, were all sent to an outside forensics laboratory, hereinafter Forensic Laboratory Number 1. Forensic Laboratory Number 1 applies DNA techniques and direct genome sequencing in difficult-to-solve forensic casework, and this identification of human remains, or the identification, in or about, or I would guess I should say on or about July 2022, Forensic Laboratory Number 1 was able to determine that each of the aforementioned female hairs recovered on the 3 victims each belonged to a female individual. Oh, one person, right? In mitochondrial haplogroup K1C2, and that this female was not any of the victims. On or about July 21st, 2022, an undercover SCPD detective recovered 11 bottles from a trash receptacle that had been left out for collection in front of the residence of defendant Rex A. Heuermann. The Suffolk County Crime Lab took swabs of said bottles, which were subsequently sent to the Forensic Laboratory Number 1 for DNA profiling. Based on these new submissions, on or about February 24, 2023, Forensic Lab Number 1 was able to conclude that one of the DNA profiles generated from the aforementioned bottles taken from defendant Heuermann's residence indicated a female individual belonging to mitochondrial haplogroup K1C, which is the same group as the female hairs recovered from the 3 victims. Whoa, this investigation, oh my word. This profile was then compared against the previously tested female hair sample recovered on the remains of Miss Megan Waterman, which indicated that the 2 belong to the same individual or someone closely related. Based upon this investigation, the evidence recovered to date, that female is believed to be the wife of defendant Heuermann. I mean, that information must be horrifying to her. Forensic Laboratory Number 2. On or about March 23, 2023, the Suffolk County Crime Lab requested Forensic Laboratory Number 2, a lab specializing in forensic mitochondrial analysis, to conduct additional independent analysis. On or about June 12, 2022, that's like last month, June 12, 2023, Forensic Lab Number 2 issued a report concluding that the DNA sample from the female recovered from the bottles outside the residence of defendant Heuermann, i.e. Heuermann's wife, and the female hair on Costello indicated that the mitochondrial DNA profiles are the same at all compared positions common to and between samples, specifically at a rate that would, as per EMPOP database, exclude 99.98% of the North American population from the female hair on Costello. Let's quickly look at the footnotes, okay? MPOP is shorthand for the European DNA Profile Group. Mitochondrial DNA Population Database, which is a web-based collection of human mitochondrial sequence data from various populations worldwide. The North American database includes 12,386 sequences of North American forensic significance. The statistical analysis incorporates a 95% confidence level, or margin of error, as the North American database does not include every single DNA sequence of North American forensic significance, which would require the typing of every individual in the population. See Exhibit B. Statistical reporting for an in-depth explanation regarding confidence levels. Okay, so to continue on, we've got 5 pages left. Forensic Lab number 2 then compared the profile associated with a DNA sample from Heuermann's wife to one of the 2 aforementioned female hairs recovered on the remains of Miss Waterman, which also resulted in the conclusion that the mitochondrial DNA profiles are the same at all compared positions common to and between samples, specifically at a rate that would, as per MPOP database, exclude 99.69% of the North American population from the hair recovered on Miss Waterman. Based on the foregoing, while 99.98% of the North American population can be excluded from the female hair on Costello, and 99.69% of the North American population are excluded from the female hair on Waterman, it is significant that R.H.'s wife cannot be excluded from either the female hairs recovered on the remains of Megan Waterman and Amber Costello. As previously noted, defendant Heuermann's wife was out of state at the time of Miss Waterman and Miss Costello's disappearance and murders. I'm glad they mentioned that again, in case someone forgot that in the beginning, and now their mind starts working of like, could she have been involved too? Like, she wasn't even there. Okay, so, I mean, she, as I say, must be absolutely horrified. Imagine being married to a serial killer and never knowing that he was one. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we continue on. They say, as such, it is likely that the burlap, tape, vehicles, or other instrumentalities utilized in furtherance of these murders came from defendant Heuermann's residence, where his wife also resides, or was transferred from his clothing. Okay, male hair linked to defendant Heuermann. During the initial examination of Miss Waterman's skeletal remains and the burlap materials, the Suffolk County Crime Lab was also able to recover a male hair from the bottom of the burlap used to wrap Miss Waterman by her killer, hereinafter male hair on Waterman. An initial examination of said hair revealed Caucasian or European characteristics. However, the hair was unsuitable for further DNA analysis at that time by the Suffolk County Crime Lab. This hair was subsequently submitted for further DNA analysis, and on or about July 31st, 2020, Forensic Lab number 1 was able to generate a DNA profile for the hair recovered on the bottom of the Waterman burlap. Specifically, Forensic Lab number 1 determined that this hair belonged to a male in mitochondrial haplogroup V7A. Following the discovery of the Chevrolet Avalanche, which was registered to defendant Heuermann, and the investigation of cellular billing records and other items, on or about January 26, 2023, a surveillance team observed and recovered a pizza box thrown by defendant Rex A. Heuermann into a garbage can located in front of 385 Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. He got busted by a pizza box. Anyway, moving on. So there's the trash can and there's the pizza box. So they were watching him and waiting for him to do such things. He absolutely devoured that pizza. Look at that. Okay, so they say that this pizza box was sent to the Suffolk County Crime Lab for analysis, where a swab was taken from the leftover pizza crust. This is brilliant. On or about March 23rd, 2023, the Suffolk County Crime Lab sent the swab from the pizza crust abandoned by defendant Heuermann to Forensic Lab number 2. On or about April 28, 2023, a detective hand-delivered from Forensic Lab number 1 a portion of male hair on Waterman to Forensic Lab number 2 for testing. On or about June 12, 2023, Forensic Lab number 2 was able to determine as to the male hair on Waterman and the swab from the pizza crust that the mitochondrial DNA profiles are the same, specifically at a rate that would, as per the MPOP database, exclude 99.96% of the North American population from the male hair on Waterman. Based on the foregoing, while 99.96% of the North American population can be excluded from the male hair on watermen, it is significant that defendant Heuermann cannot be excluded from the male hair recovered near the bottom of the burlap utilized to restrain and transport Megan Waterman's naked and deceased body. Arrest and search of Heuermann, his residence, and other locations. On or about the evening of July 13th, 2023, defendant Rex A. Heuermann was arrested by Suffolk County police officers. Searches of his residence, as well as other locations, are currently ongoing. At the time of his arrest, defendant Heuermann had on his person the burner cell phone. It's like busted with the burner phone, which was linked to the Thawk email account, or T-Hawk, used to conduct the online searches described above. Penalties. If convicted on the current charges, defendant Rex A. Heuermann faces multiple sentences of life without parole. Remand without bail is appropriate. Based on the serious, heinous nature of these offenses, the strength of the people's case, the life incarceration the defendant faces upon conviction, the extreme measures this defendant took to avoid apprehension for an extended period of time, the recent sadistic and CSAM searches, use of fictitious names, email and cell phone burner accounts, online counter surveillance, and his access to and history of possessing firearms, the people believe that the only means to ensure the defendant's return to court is to remand the defendant without bail. Dated July 14th, 2023, Suffolk County, New York. Signed by the District Attorney, Raymond A. Tierney. That must have been so good. What a moment for him to be like, yes. So, we made our way through the document, page 32 of 32. I will continue to cover this case and any other news that I'm sure we're going to see so much more. I mean, I'm sure lots of information is going to be preserved for the trial. I will be following the trial when that happens because I find this case extremely interesting. I mean, profilers have been working on this for years, many years, trying to catch this guy. So it's unbelievable. This task force did so well. Fresh eyes, resilience from 2022. Bam, July 13th, 2023. Busted by pizza with the burner phone. Wow. So, let's hope that they can piece together everything else they need to piece together. Hopefully they can solve other missing persons cases or other unsolved murder cases now that they have this guy. I'm sure they're going to. There's no way that this guy stopped in 2010. Even he was caught with the burner phone in 2023. I think there's going to be so many more. So, that's it for now. I don't want to keep you too long. I like to chunk things so that you can absorb it one bit at a time. So far, we've done previously a deep dive on the Gilgo Four, Shannan Gilbert, the Long Island serial killer. Then, when he was arrested on July 13th, on July 14th, we did a live stream. We looked at all the news. We looked at the press conference. We looked at a presentation that I'd done before as well. We looked at interviews with a neighbor and all of that. That's all linked in the description box for you. And now we've looked at this entire document. So let's see what else comes out, what else we can analyze. But for sure, if you would like to follow this case with me and the upcoming trial, whenever that may be, it might take a while. It might take a while, especially because they're still investigating. But let's see what happens. Subscribe, hit the bell, make sure it's to all. And if you do see a live stream coming up, remember to click notify me, because then it literally makes a sound. It should on your phone, depending on your phone settings. But if I click notify me, it for sure notifies me that this person is going live in half an hour. Ooh, and now they're live. So 2 notifications. And if you really, really want notifications, Patreon is the way to go. It's $1 is where my tiers start. There's the same benefits for all tiers. But there I share when I'm going live or when I'm premiering something, and you'll never miss a notification there because it goes straight to your email inbox. So there's that as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe.